Welcome, guys, to the United State of Red. Joining me for today's show is none other than Elliot from Els TV on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Yes, sir.
Um, Listen, I don't think it's a bad time to be a United fan. It was a difficult loss against Newcastle United, a very good Newcastle United. So I'm not gonna really I'm not trying to have a negative show today. You know what I'm saying? Unlike
Yeah,
Paul Scholes that lives in negativity. However, for today's show, we will be discussing Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick comments that has sparked controversy across the United fan base, right? And also we will be discussing Wayne Rooney's response to Paul Scholes and his post on Instagram. However, the first place I want to start, right? And I want to start first. And it's about the United game, the performance
yeah,
and the result. Now, else, honestly, I feel as if two things. I think United did a little bit of enough to win that game.
I agree.
And I also think that we deserved to lose that game. Reason being, starting with the second one, every time this season we have struggled against teams with 10 men. And it's not to say that United should have dominated Newcastle yesterday. It's not to say that we should have outpossessed them or whatever the case is, because Newcastle, it's a very physical team. They run non-stop, they fight very hard despite being down to 10 men. But in the second half, I don't think we did enough to justify us winning that game. What we did, though, in terms of me believing we should have won that game, was the Embuemo chance. Surprisingly, he didn't score that. I think Konya in the first half should have done better with his chance.
Xerxes as well. That was Xerxes shot. It was a good save.
Yeah, Zerski shot as well. It was a good save by Ramsdale. You have the Lenny Euro one.
Hmm.
So we created at least three, four, five opportunities in which we should have scored from to win that game. So again, as I stated at the beginning, I think we did enough to win the game, a little bit off enough, and I also think we deserved to lose that game based on the performance in the second half. And honestly, if you look at the game in itself, up until the red card that Jacob Ramsey would have received, I
Yeah,
think that Newcastle United were the better team.
I agree. No, I agree. I thought we started very poor. I thought we started very, very, very poorly. I can't lie. Like it wasn't enough. There was no intensity. The passing was off. It was all sloppy in midfield. And Newcastle, just physicality just got to us in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and I think, whenever we like discuss Premier League teams, I think Newcastle is maybe one of the only teams that the game is always discussed around the midfield.
Yeah, yeah.
Jolinton, Tonali,
Finale,
those guys, it's always the midfield. And if you look at it, despite them being 10 men down, I think that they won that midfield battle.
100%. I
Couple
mean, the
moments in the
entire
game,
time.
Kobe Mano, we won back possession of the football and we easily gave it away. But what were your thoughts on the game though?
I thought we played poorly most of the game. As I said, I didn't think the intensity was there. The passing was sloppy all game, especially that midfield. Like I want to talk about the midfield specifically right now. Like Casemiro, right? He scored in the game. I'm not singling him out to say he's a bad player and blah blah blah, and he needs to leave the football before the football leaves him and all that, right? But I think in the last three games, his passing has been so off, and that's giving a good pressure against us in the midfield, and then Manu as well against Newcastle, I didn't think he was good. I think he was getting bypassed too easily. Even his passing wasn't on, but it was main thing for me was him getting bypassed and just getting outrun, and the physicality wasn't there for him either. So we were just getting overrun the entire time, even when they had 10 men. Newcastle just really and truly the red card that they got is not really going to be detrimental to how they were going to come towards the game because they were not going to try and score after that, right? So they could just sit in their little mid block with flat midfield and just hit on the counter over and over. So it was up to us as a team to try and win the game and use the opportunities that we have, but we didn't do that. So that's why I agree with your point where you say we should have won the game, we could have won the game, but we don't deserve to win that after performing like that. They have 10 men. We can't be performing like that against teams with 10 men. The second time this season, we should have capitalized. That's my thoughts.
At least second or third, because you had the Everton game, the Crystal Palace game,
Yeah,
and now
Crystal
this
Palace
game
was poor
against
too.
Newcastle, and even
Yeah,
against Crystal Palace at home. I felt as if we almost got away with a win. And
yeah,
again, it's not me saying we should dominate these teams and we should create 100 chances after having the man advantage. But
Mm-hmm.
surely the performance has to be a bit better against these
100%.
teams when we have that one man numerical advantage, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about the midfield, and I've been in, countless discussions with people from different groups. And Kobe Menu is the one that is sticking out in terms of his last couple performances. What have you
Okay.
made of Kobe Menu in the game against Newcastle United and the last two games against Everton and Crystal Palace? Is Kobe Menu struggling in that midfield to you?
I think a little bit, yes. Now, I'm not on the Menu hate train. A lot of people were hating Menu because of what the previous manager had going on, and saying he's not that good and what's not. Yes, he has deficiencies in his game. I think that, as I said it before, he does get bypassed very easily. If you have a very robust physical midfield that has a little bit of pace in it, he has that's his deficiency, right? And in the last three games, it's been capitalized on. Let's be real, like it's been underwhelming in the last three games, but especially that Newcastle game, I thought was just poor. Let's just be say it. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that this player is poor and that player is poor, whether we like them or not. Let's just say it how it is. I thought he was poor, and he needs to step up and do better, man. And he's still 20 years old, so it's not at the end of the world. He could still get better at these kind of things. But for right now, he needs to step up, man. He needs to step up.
Yeah, and for me, I've heard discussions around potential replacements.
Mm-hmm.
Casemiro obviously is leaving
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we at least need two midfielders
100.
to kind of get that position right in
Yep.
some sense. And
Yeah.
I've never felt as if, even Kobe Mino a couple years ago when he just broke through and he was playing wonderful, I've never felt as if in the short term he was the answer for United issues. I mean,
I
any
agree.
young player will have deficiencies in their game. And people talk about, oh, he lacks pace, whatever the case is. However, I think with experience and with knowledge of the game, you can position yourself properly to make up for the lack of pace somewhat.
Yeah.
On occasions, you will get done, but it depends on how the team plays. It depends on the system. It depends on who plays beside you. It depends on the defenders that can make up for the flaw in your game, in a sense.
That's what I
You
was
have,
gonna say.
yeah,
Because like, with I was talking about how Casemiro, he lacks pace. So Manu also lacks pace. So both of them together, it's just not gonna. As I said, any little bit of pace in the midfield, you can get by them easily. You can get our defense, right? And that's where I give Carrick a little bit of credit, because I feel like he knows that. But our defensive structure with our center backs and even our full backs in the defensive phase has actually been pretty good. Like, Newcastle were not. Yes, Newcastle were playing better in the first half in totality before the red card, right? But it's not like they were peppering our goal and we're barely defending and stuff like that. They had opportunities here and there. Yes, they were dominating the ball. Yes, they were on us. But it wasn't like our goalkeepers making a bunch of saves, and that doesn't happen in any of the games that we play poorly in. Like, let's be real.
no, no, I agree. In terms of the last, maybe 6, 7 games, in some aspects, we haven't played well in terms of maybe open play. And I would say more so in open play and how we create chances. I think we kind of struggle in that department. And I want to see more from the likes of Ahmad Diallo. I think his
Yeah.
performances, it has dropped a little bit. I want to see more from Cunha. And Mbuemo for me isn't that guy who is going to be creative off that right hand side. He's more of a guy that runs in behind, get on the end
He's
of
a final
chances,
phase player.
scores. Yeah. So for me, I think we have played poorly more so in terms of how we create chances, not so much defensively, as you have said. And if you look at some of those games as well, we haven't really conceded much.
Yeah.
Everton, we kept a clean sheet. Against Crystal Palace, it was 2-1. Um, that West Ham game was 1-1. We kept a clean sheet against Tottenham. Man City, we kept a clean sheet as well. Arsenal was a 3-2 game. Fulham was a 3-2 game as well. So we have kept about 3 clean sheets in about 7, 8 games under
Yeah.
Michael Carrick. So it's
Yeah.
not really bad when you think about it. And overall, again, the defensive performance of the team, it has been good, right? And I think a major miss for me in this game would have been Lisandro Martinez,
I
right?
agree.
I
Hmm.
think in terms of his how he structures the defensive backline, I think in terms of his bravery moving forward as well, in terms of him kind of being that ball playing centre back as well, I think he would have pushed the defensive line a bit more. And I
Higher.
think, yeah, higher. And I think the players would have understood that they need to move more forward, especially in that second half when we had the numerical advantage. You know what I'm saying? I think for most part of the second half, we kind of just like sat back and I don't want to say like we were lethargic, but it's almost like we didn't want to move forward.
Yeah, we invited pressure in the second half. I didn't understand how. Like that's where I give Carrick a little bit of credit. I mean, not credit, sorry, criticism, because why are we just soaking back pressure against a team that has 10 men when it should be them doing that? You know what I mean? We just let y'all can have possession and we're just gonna hit you on the counter because y'all have one less man. But that shouldn't be the mentality. We should just say, all right, they have one less man, let's try and go for it because we had opportunities. The opportunities were still coming even when they had 11 men. So because we started to grow into the game in the last phase of the first half. So I thought we just continue that, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Now, in terms of this game, some huge controversy after the game, right?
Mm,
I think this is obviously Carrick's first loss since being a United interim coach or manager, whatever you want to call him.
mm,
And Paul Scholes, who has been a big critic of recent managers, sometimes maybe for good reasons, and in this case for me, for a bad reason, right?
yeah,
He said something after the game in which he posted on Instagram. I'm trying to bring it up on screen. Um, so he took to Instagram after the defeat in saying Michael has definitely got something special about him because United have been crap last four games, ended it with Knight and a kissing emoji, I guess. And he
yeah.
also ended it with Tonali and a heart beside him. I think he was obviously praising Tonali for his performance in the midfield,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Now, in terms of my thoughts on this Scholes thing, I think it's unjustified. I think it's unwarranted.
yeah,
And it begs me to ask the question, can't we be happy as United fans for a good time, like for a short space of time? Can't we be happy? You know,
yeah,
I look at this in terms of what Scholes said, and I'm like, first of all, yes, the performances in the last maybe 3 to 4 games hasn't been up to standard, right? But I don't think United is in a position where we can think about what the standard of the team should be.
exactly,
When you consider the fact that we finished 15th last season, when you
exactly.
consider the fact that Ruben Amorim had a totally different system, he was struggling to win games. I think the coach of Wolves in 16 games won 2 games back to back in less games than Ruben Amorim.
Then,
Michael Carrick himself took less games to win 3 games in a row than Ruben Amorim, right?
yeah,
He came in, he changed everything, and we have collected so many points, propelling us to third in the table, right? Maybe like 8, 9 points behind defending champions Manchester City. Well, not City, but former champions Manchester City, right?
mm,
So when you look at it, I'm like, I didn't expect United to be in this position that they are
no,
in right now. So this is not me excusing the poor performances in the last 3 to 4 games. However, we have to factor in that some of these guys they have failed multiple managers. So if you look at it through the scope of their failed multiple managers, they aren't United standard. Why are we then saying the last 3 to 4 performances haven't been good? Despite the last 3 to 4 performances not being good, we have won those games, which is the most important thing.
exactly. 3 points.
Arsenal, they haven't played the sexiest brand of football all season. They struggled against Brighton, they struggled against recent teams. But in terms of them chasing the league title, the most important thing again is that they have won those games. As United fans, as a team, we have won those games that we have struggled in some sense. So for me, I think looking at it through that scope, that's where I see um, Paul Scholes' comments being unwarranted and unjustified at this moment in time as a United supporter. But what are your thoughts on Paul Scholes and what he had to say on Instagram?
It's like he was waiting for this to happen. It's like he's just like, all right, I'm gonna wait till United lose again so I can post something negative about them. That's what it seems like to me. Like I don't, as you said, I don't think this is warranted. Like nobody thought we'd even be third right now. Let's be real. Like even at the start of the season, like, with Ruben Amorim or whatever, if they believed him or not, nobody thought we'd be here. I predict us to finish fifth this season. So for us to be in this position, let's be happy. We just experienced. We could have win back-to-back games for over a year. Like let's win a few games. Let's be a little bit happy. Let's try and believe in something because we were already playing 40 games this season. We already lost to Grimsby. We've already been losing games and dropping points everywhere all season. We've had all the depression. We've had all the embarrassing moments. Let's just have a little 5 game run of just let's feel good. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to come out in our first loss since December and come out and say, oh, Tanali and oh, Michael Carrick's doing good and da 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 because the last four performances haven't been good. We know the imbalances in the team. We know we don't have this. We know we don't have that. Those performances are going to happen whether we like it or not. They're going to happen. So for him to come out and say this here now, it just makes no sense. There's no need for it at all. It's just miserable. Like there's no need for it.
Yeah, and when you think about it, and when you look at the situation and you assess it, when you look at those three games, yes, in some aspects we didn't perform to the level that we aspire to be, right,
Hmm.
or we expect from any United team. However,
Hmm.
playing away from home at Everton will always be a difficult game.
It was never going to be easy. Never.
Never,
Never.
especially an Everton team that has transformed this season under David Moyes.
They're fighting for
With
Europe.
Yeah, he did a brilliant job at West Ham United. He won the European Conference League. I think he went to a semi-final of the Europa League as well and a quarter-final, right? So he did an amazing job there. And now he's at Everton, his former club, and he has done a wonderful job despite even Jack Grealish being out for the rest of the season.
Hmm.
Now, again, away from home, it was always going to be a difficult game. We won that game 1-0. Crystal Palace at home, I will say, I think the performance should have been a bit better, especially
Yeah.
seeing that it was a lesser team compared to Newcastle United, and we also had a numerical advantage over them at home. That performance should have been better. Newcastle United, again, away from home, this was always going to be a difficult game. I think I
I
saw
agree.
something where the last time we won away from home at St. James Park was back in
2021.
2020 or 2020, 2021, so it has
Yeah.
been quite some time.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be difficult. And again, you talk about the deficiencies in this United team. We cannot expect that we're going into these games and we're going to play the best brand of football that we
Yeah.
expect or that we have seen from other respective teams across previous seasons. The important thing is that we have something within us that allows us to win those games. Now, what some people will say, in which I've heard them say it in conversations, that it comes down to individual brilliance, right? When you
Mm.
look at those games, how many of those games would you say came down to individual brilliance?
The games
And
that we drop points in.
no, games that we have won this season under Michael Carrick.
Um, I mean, maybe a bit of Everton, but I feel like we had opportunities to win that regardless. Like I'm looking at it, every game we've won, yes, there's individual brilliance. That's gonna happen, right? But the aim of a manager is to platform players to perform to their best, ability, right? To get them in position to play in their best ability. So looking at the games that we've done, I don't think it's really been individual brilliance. I think we're creating enough chances. We're creating chances every game. Every single game under Carby scored, and yeah, I don't really buy the individual brilliance thing. I can be honest, I really don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's not something I try to feed into. I see where individual brilliance can play a part for a team where it just depends on one guy. However, yes, Bruno
Yeah,
Fernandes has been our best player this season,
yeah,
but I think we have played good in other aspects of the game in terms of our link-up play. I think we have done good in transition. I think other individuals, they have done well in some aspects in terms of creating chances as well. Now,
yeah.
against Newcastle United, um, the crossing into the box was never going to work with Benjamin Sesko and the height advantage that Newcastle United would have had as well. It's a very tall team
Mm.
compared to other teams in the Premier
I
League,
have some
right? Compared to
quickly, right? I have something to say. I want to say something on the whole Sasco thing. By the way, when we're done, I want to say something.
yeah. So I mean, you can go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I think like this might be the most reactionary thing ever, right? But I think for the balance of the attacking players that we have right now, I think Sesko's better coming off the bench. And I think Sesko will be a starter like in the future and what's not. But I mean for literally just this season until we get to the end of the season with the profiles we have in the squad, I would start Joshua Zerski and bring Sesko off the bench. I think Sesko's better than Zerski, but I mean just for the balance of the team. For right now, the team we don't have a left winger, right? We don't have goals coming from that side. Our right wing is, not really in form right now. And yes, Sesko's doing his thing, but most of it's coming off the bench. Tell me 5 games that Sesko started where like, he's playing really well and doing his thing. I don't think he's even scored starting other than the Everton game, really. So
But
I
I
just think for
think
the balance of the team, maybe we should try that out and see how
I,
it works. But that's just
I
me.
think I
That's just me.
think we've kind of like harmed his development in this team in the
Yeah,
sense
yeah,
of
yeah. A little bit, yeah.
like as a striker, you work off confidence, you score a goal,
Yeah,
and then the next game you're on the bench.
yeah,
And then the
yeah.
next game they
That's a bit
start you.
much.
Like, I think it kind of affects him to some degree. No, he was rewarded with a start.
Yeah.
I don't feel as if we created enough chances where I'm like, oh, Sesko should have scored from that. One and two chances, maybe half chances where I think he could have used his physicality a bit more to get a defender off and get
Mm,
a shot off. However,
mm,
that's a conversation for a different day. But
mm.
my question to you is, what does Josh Rozierski add to this team if you start him over Benjamin Sesko?
I think that just because
And
just
honestly, I don't think Sesko as a starter adds anything. I mean, he's a
really,
striker. He has good finishing, but in terms of other aspects of his game,
yeah.
I don't think he adds anything. So, what do you think Josh Rozierski would add over Benjamin Sesko?
Well, I think he has the other side of the game. I think he has the link play. He can hold the ball in the front line because I feel like our front line doesn't. We don't sustain pressure against another team's defense because our forward players are just losing the ball in key areas. So I feel like Josh was dropping in a little bit, keeping the ball up there, can allow Bruno to maybe run past him, in his best kind of position because Bruno's not like this classical 10 that's gonna roam around here and think he's creating chances. He does his thing. I'm not discrediting Bruno in any kind of way, by the way. That's just kind of player he is. I think he's better in this kind of not second striker, but just getting past the striker while they drop in and getting goal scoring opportunities and creating chances in that final phase, right? So I think Josh Zerski allows that, and especially for the wide players as well, because he's gonna draw defenders in certain areas, maybe give more space for Mbamo, give more space for Cunha. I just think for the balance of the team in that aspect, it works. Like I'm not saying Josh Zerski's gonna score that many goals because he's not a goal scoring like forward. He's not gonna score 15, 20 goals a season. We know that. But that's not the kind of player he is. But what he does give us is goals around the team, and maybe the whole team can play better in that way. And then Sesko comes off the bench for that kind of change, and the opposition is used to playing in a certain way, and then you bring on that physicality, the pace that Sesko has, and the finishing ability. I think it works better in that way. That's just me.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, even watching the game against Newcastle, I think United, I think sometimes we play a bit too fast in the final third. And I think Zerski, to some extent, in terms of his hold up play, I think he's maybe the best at hold up play in this team. Like,
Yeah, and he was
there's
good
no
off the bench
argument
as
around
well.
that.
Yeah,
And sometimes I think Cunha and Boehm, I think the first instinct is to go, 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 and not slow down the game, looking for that like proper pass
like
or
just
beautiful
relax a
pass in a
bit,
sense.
like just
Yeah. And I know that Cunha is a good dribbler, whatever the case is, but I need to see more from Cunha in terms of his final third play. I don't think I'm impressed by him in terms of his final third play this season. And I
yeah.
don't really expect anything from Mbuemo in terms of what he does in the final third, seeing that he's not that guy in some sense. But back to the Paul Scholes thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So as I was saying before, I think the comment or post on Instagram is obviously unjustified. And I think it also comes at the wrong time, as you said before. I mean, we have won majority of our games under Michael Carrick, and it's like, okay, you were just waiting on United to lose to make this post. And nobody, well, I'm not saying, okay, you have some people that believe that Michael Carrick is the answer. However, the minority doesn't speak for the majority. And as a fan of United at this moment in time, I'm just going with the flow. I'm not sure if Michael Carrick is the answer. I don't know who is the answer, bro. We have been presented so many managers in the last 5, 6, 7 years that we thought was the answer, and they weren't the answer. They failed miserably. So if Michael Carrick is appointed at the end of the season for accomplishing top four, and they give the job to Michael Carrick, then I will support him. If there's nothing to support, then I will jump ship until they appoint someone new.
yeah,
So there's literally no guarantees in football whether we appoint Luis Enrique, Roberto De Zerbi, Mauricio Pochettino, whatever the case is, right?
yeah.
Arsenal went with Mikel Arteta. Yes, he didn't win a major trophy as yet, but he did build something in some sense.
For
Not
all
to
we
say
know,
that
a random
Michael
manager
Carrick,
can come in and be the answer. We just don't know for real. Like,
yeah, Michael Carrick could maybe build something and maybe not take United over the line, and then you'll need somebody that can take United over the line.
mm-hmm,
It's yet to be seen because he
mm-hmm,
needs to be given an opportunity, if given that opportunity, right?
mm-hmm.
And it leads me into what Wayne Rooney said. And Wayne Rooney did respond, and he said, um, Rooney said, while most Manchester United legends genuinely want to see the club return to its glory days, he comes across as someone chasing attention instead. The constant criticism of the players and even taking shots at his former teammate Michael Carrick feels unnecessary and honestly a bit disappointing. It's hard to understand why someone connected to the club would keep tearing it down rather than supporting its rebuild. And I think Wayne Rooney is obviously spot on at this current moment in time. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this sentiment on social media about some of the United legends not wanting the current crop of individuals to kind of do well in a sense to outshine them or become more of a legend than them. So they want to remain relevant. However, I think that's a bit of a stretch in some sense.
Yeah.
I think Paul Scholes, I think Roy Keane, I think all these guys that are critical of United in the public's eye, they want United to get back to the glory days. You know what I'm saying? If that's not the case, then they would be filled with pure hatred, and I wouldn't consider them United legends if that's the case, which I don't think that's the case. But in terms of Rooney's comments and response to Paul Scholes, what do you make of that?
I completely agree with him. I think he's actually one of the best people to come out and say that, because a lot of people idolize Wayne Rooney and things that he says. So I'm glad that he can come out and say that, even about a former teammate or what's not. Because as you said, like, you used to play with Carrick. You're supposed to be supporting United, and then you're just coming out and just saying these things and criticizing this player. Maybe even if they're having a good game, like even Gary Neville against Sesko, like Sesko scoring, and he's like, oh, but he's not that good. Like he won't be United striker. Like, why do you need to say that? Like, just let let them do their thing. You don't know. You don't even know. What if he goes and scores 15 games in a row? Then what are you gonna say then? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Like, you don't need to be saying all this extra controversy, creating drama between the squad and the media, and because they know what they're doing. Like, they know that them saying specific things is more impactful than the random person online. You know what I'm saying? So, if knowing these things, why are you saying these things? So I'm glad we really can come out and say something like that to kind of defend the club a little bit, because it's just unnecessary for real.
And as I've said, even if the last 3 to 4 performances haven't been good, which they
Mm-hmm.
haven't,
Mm-hmm.
is it the right time to say it? No. Why wait until we lost a game? Why not make this post when we defeated Crystal Palace, Everton?
Yeah,
You make
why
it
not?
then, because those performances to your standard would have been poor. So make the post then. And as I said, their words hold more weight than me, you, any random individual on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or on the road, right? And um it's kind of funny because he took shots at Lisandro Martinez, and I think Lisandro was alluding to the fact that these people, they say things publicly, but in private they have conversations with you, they smile in your face, and they never tell you these things to your face. And
Yeah,
with him saying this about Michael Carrick or whatever the case is, tomorrow more than likely he'll see Michael Carrick, whether he is at Carrington for maybe something for Sky Sports, who knows, the overlap, and he'll smile with Carrick, he'll
and
laugh,
dap
and he'll
him
not
up and be
tell him
like, "You're
these
my
things.
boy," and
Yeah, he'll not be bold in terms of telling him that, oh, the team performed poorly or whatever the case is. And I've seen it constantly with United legends, and I think I've seen it more with United legends than anyone else. Arsenal, they are chasing the title. They
mm,
are referred to as butter jobs. How many Arsenal legends have you seen in the last 3 to 4 seasons that they have challenged for the title when they have played poorly, when they have lost a game? How many legends have you seen on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram criticizing the team publicly? Not many. If
yeah, they
anything,
don't. They
I've seen
don't.
the likes of Ian Wright. I've seen the likes of what's his name again? Thierry Henry.
Yeah, Henri.
I've
Henri
seen
honestly the
them
most honest, and he's not
encourage
even
the team.
criticizing
I've
them.
seen them even give tips as to how Arsenal can get over the line in terms of winning a major trophy. That is what
Yeah,
I've seen. I've seen them talk about their experiences and what they did to win a game, or what they would have done to win that trophy. I've seen that from Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, um, the guy that's always on Talksport with Simon
he.
Jordan.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I
Yeah,
forgot, I forgot
the
the name too, but
defender Emmanuel Petit as well. He would
yeah.
have been on there on a couple of occasions,
So
but they
Campbell,
don't
right?
really,
Is it so
yeah,
Campbell?
they don't really bash Arsenal in any sense. They will maybe criticize them to an extent. If the team performs poorly, they say, "Listen, Arteta could have done better, Saka could have done better," but
Yeah.
they don't really go on Instagram to kind of create this whole circus around the club and even add fuel to the fire as well.
Yeah, imagine Arsenal lose a game and then you see Ian Wright come out and say, "Oh, they're gonna bottle again." Like, that's essentially what Paul Scholes is doing. Like, if we were in the same position,
And when you think about it, in terms of Ian Wright and how close he is and the legend that he is to Arsenal, the likes of Saka, they look up to Ian Wright.
yeah, yeah, they look up to him. They look up to him, and as like as
Instead,
someone, so to
so
coming out and saying
if
that is
he
just
said
not. It
something
doesn't give a
like
good
that,
image of yourself.
exactly. So if Ian Wright said something like that or did something like that, oh, they're going to battle the league with Saka going on social media, seeing that. I'm not saying that it
It's gonna
will
get his
affect
head.
him 100%, but surely he's
Yeah,
like, bro, Ian, like, why are you doing this with like 5 games left back in the season?
No, but I no,
If
it would
anything,
affect. I
encourage
think
the
it would
team. You know
affect
what I'm
any
saying?
player, dog. Imagine your idol coming out and just saying something disrespectful about you or in your position and just putting more pressure on you. Like again, these people know what they're doing. Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, all these, you know, right? All of them know what they're doing. They know how the media is going to react to certain things they say. So they know what to say and what not to say. So Paul Scholes saying that he knew the reaction that he would get, but he didn't care. He didn't care. He still went and said it. And I again, yeah, people, I think it's right in a way to question: does he really want to be United legend acting like this? I think he's United legend because what you do on a pitch is not really translating off the pitch, kind of right. But why does he constantly? Why are they constantly do these things? Why are they constantly putting more pressure on us specifically? And as you said, no other club is doing this. No other club's legends are doing this. Even at Chelsea, their legends are like, "Yo, this is going on. Chelsea need a striker. Chelsea need this." John Obi Mikel has a whole
Podcast.
podcast talking about how to get Chelsea better in certain episodes. We don't have that. It's just the overlap and then just talking about United's not good. They've been really bad the last 4 games.
And
Yeah, they're not gonna do anything.
I
They're not
think
gonna
the
do
worst
anything.
part about the Carrick criticism, you have to look at the profile of Carrick.
Mm,
Carrick is not, he didn't come into this job as this high profile manager that was out of a job and needed somewhere to kind of like perform to see whether or not he could get the job.
mm,
He was a guy from Middlesbrough, his first ever job, right?
mm.
And he comes into this United job as a interim. I've never heard about an interim coming into a job having to play sexy football, having to play the best football that we have seen since sliced bread. I've not heard that before. The
Exactly.
job of an interim is to kind of stabilize the ship. Now,
Yep.
in terms of what Carrick has done, I think he has overstabilized the ship to
He
the point
hot
he's getting
one
this
hundred
ship
percent.
sailing. He has got this ship sailing up to third place in the Premier League. You know what I'm saying? That's what he has got this ship to do. So
He's
when Paul
overperforming.
Scholes comes out and talks about the fact that we have been poor in the last 3 to 4 games, I mean, just shut it, bro. Like we don't need to hear.
You don't
He's
need
an
to hear it.
intern.
Like he doesn't need this much expectation as an interim. He's literally just here to get us Champions League football, whether
First
that's
of
by
all, it's
winning
not even
every
his
game one
team.
nil or not. Like
It's not even his team. He didn't have a preseason with them. He didn't have anything.
Like you even
And
alluded to it earlier, they played a whole whether the system was good or not. They played a whole different system for the last year. Most of them players, even some new signs that came in to just come in switch. I know it's maybe they're gonna feel more comfortable or what's not because they like the back four or what's not, but it's still a change. It's still a change in the body. It's still a change in the mind. It's still a change in the practices that go on, muscle memory, everything. And for Michael Carrick to come and get all of those wins, one loss in 2026. I think he's done a good job as an interim manager. We don't care about performances as an interim manager right now. We care about if we get Champions League at the end of the season. If he finished fourth at the end of the season, winning every game 1-0, am I going to complain? No. I don't care. We get Champions League. We can assess in the summer how things go. We don't need to care about that right now. So, yeah, man.
And as I've said before, most of these guys would have failed previous managers, right? We know
Mm,
that Kobe Manu at this moment in time isn't the answer. Casemiro is leaving at the end of the season, but
yeah.
these guys are the guys that predominantly start in the United midfield. So that is one area in which we will struggle with, and we have struggled with that in the previous games and in previous games way before Michael Carrick even took charge of this club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't expect Carrick to rectify or fix the midfield with guys who aren't at the level that is essentially
We don't
required.
even have a left winger thing. We don't even have a left winger.
Exactly,
Like
and
we have
I
no
think
left
Fabrizio
winger.
Romano posted something recently stating that United they will look to get a left winger in the summer.
We
But
have to.
before I close off, right,
Mm,
the thing I have to say is, social media is a whole different beast. But gone are the days where, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you would lose a game and the only thing you could say is that, listen, we perform poorly, we go back to the drawing board and we try to rectify things and we win the next game. I think that this loss against Newcastle United, that is what the sentiment should be. We played poorly, we lost the game to 10 men, but let's head back to training, let's fix this, let's try to play better against a next team if they go down to 10 men. That is the conversation, or that should be the conversation. Instead, you have guys like Paul Scholes creating a circus around the club, and what the wonderful things Carrick has done or have done in those previous games that he
even
did.
with players as well, people are talking about players differently now. Like just because of one loss, like this player maybe is not that good. Like in Buemo, we need to maybe look at why we signed in Buemo. He's not been that good. When these players have been good most, and Buemo's been good most of the season. Let's say Buemo's not been a bad signing. Like he's just not been a bad signing. Let's be real. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't need to start talking about players differently because they lost one game. Did y'all expect us to win every game? Did y'all expect us to, as you said before, play the most champagne football, do everything perfectly until the end of the season? No. So why are we talking differently about everything? You know?
I mean, whether we lost to Newcastle or not, a loss
Mm.
was incoming. It's the Premier
Yeah,
League.
100%, 100%.
A loss was incoming. So it seems to me like, Paul Scholes and some of these guys just wanted us to lose to kind of be like, oh, I told you I was right, like point proven. And people like that kind of wait until you fail. I think those are like bad people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think there's nothing good about them. Like there's so many. Why are you doing it, dog? Like you
Especially
don't
like
need
something
that,
that you
bro.
like you have a close attachment to, like you have played for the team before, you are a legend. So even if the team is playing bad, at least don't address it publicly. At
Yeah.
least at this moment in time. At the end of the season, you want to do an end of season review. Yeah, in those run of 4 or 3 games, I think we perform poorly, whatever the case is, and we move on. We rectify that in the summer transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it for today, people. Remember to subscribe to ELZ TV, ELZ TV on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. One word, like, share, subscribe. And we'll definitely have more content coming on the United State of Red. Until
Yeah.
next time,
Subscribe,
guys.
people. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Until next time, stay safe, people.